Hello and welcome to this week's debate of Goa Ahead. And the issue that we are discussing this time is about Goa's tourism and when we can expect things to open up. The Chief Minister of Goa has made a very categorical statement that unless entire population of Goa is vaccinated at least with a single dose, he is not going to think about opening. Whether this approach is right or this is once bitten, twice shy approach. I have three eminent panelists with me joining me today. First, President of Travel and Tourism Association of Goa, Nilesh Shah. Nilesh, welcome. Next, joining me on the panel is the Area Director of Taj Hotels and Resorts, Vincent Ramos. Vincent, welcome. And last but definitely not the least, President of Small and Medium Hoteliers of Goa, Serafin Kota. Serafin Bab, welcome. Nilesh, I'll start with you. You are the apex body as far as the tourism is concerned. You just couple of days back had given very valuable suggestions to the administration. 24 hours later, this is the statement from the Chief Minister. How are you looking at it?
Pramod, basically I think last time when we talked, it was very clear what we are talking about, that once positivity rate comes below 5%, there is no harm in starting tourism in full swing, or for that matter, any economic activity in full swing. In fact, this suggestion we had given, and even the suggestion had come from the administration side. What below 5% will start but no harm in starting tourism, or for that matter, any economic activity in full swing. Now we have just reached, if you see yesterday's figure, we are reached at around 8%, if I'm not mistaken. And I think in the next week's time, or maybe less than that, we'll be below 5. So I think this is a good time to start. Now, what we want to talk is that, basically, once all the people in the industry gets vaccinated, it's no harm in starting. So basically, no need of waiting that everybody in the Goa getting vaccinated, but the people in the industry working, which they are doing it. And I think Vincent Bab can give more highlight on that. But almost 70% plus have already been vaccinated, and the rest be assured in next 15 days, before 30th, we'll have all the people, 90% of the tourism industry, people who are workforce, will be administering their first dose. Secondly, when people are entering in Goa, they are following all the COVID appropriate behavior. Like you have a mandatory test as per SMR guidelines. You have a COVID appropriate behavior, which everybody has to follow. And all the hotel industry, which are open right now, they are following strictly. Because one thing we have to realize, that unless customer finds safe, they are not going to come to Goa. So they are finding the hotels which are open are following all the norms required to be safe. So I think because already there are a lot of job losses, and I feel if we go further up on this, I think there will be more of a chaos, more of a job loss, and ultimately economy will suffer in a big way. Because right now livelihood is also very important for every one of us, which you can see it on the ground, the reality. So I think it is looking into that aspect. I think it's no harm in starting. Only what maybe CM's mind would have been to see that people get more motivated to vaccinate themselves earlier, so as we can start the economic activity earlier. And secondly, maybe the way as you starting said, so once bitten, twice shy. Maybe that is one of those reasons. But I feel it is, I think we are in right direction, and I think I'm sure the economy, tourism-related economy will reboot very soon.
Vincent, how do you look at this statement? TTAG says that once the positivity rate is below 5%, the government can think about opening up. How are you looking at it?
Pramod Bab, thank you for having me on this channel. And I think, the last time we were speaking about the vaccinating everyone. And I was saying it's a difference between heaven and hell. And if you want to be vaccinated, you can achieve heaven. And I think 2 days later, I think the hell broke loose, I would say, and we went to the second wave. Having said that, Pramod Bab, see, the second wave did not spare anyone. You cannot blame anyone for this. The thing is that everybody went through the second wave, tourism or no tourism. If you go on the net and you type, there are sites where, it's a bell curve. Andaman went to the same, they had no tourists, but they went to the same curve. I know a person I was speaking yesterday. He said, Vincent Bob, 400 days I was inside. I didn't meet anybody. And yet the COVID caught me. So there are so many things, but what is the main thing is our intention. Okay. We need to help the government. We need to help the people of Goa. I know we are very emotional people, but at the same time, we have to understand that we are responsible people. And I agree completely with what Nilesh Bab has said today, that it is our responsibility. One of the major responsibilities we have done as a tourism industry, we have got everybody vaccinated, and we spend a huge amount of money, but money is not a question here, but because we care, we care. We are the first ones, when the second wave was there, one of the hoteliers said, I will give air conditions to the new hospital. We are the first one. We send so many emails, because we make money, we can do charity. So I think what Nilesh Bab also is saying here is that, tourism is a no-brainer. Tourism is a bread and butter. Almost every person in one household belongs to some stakeholder of tourism somewhere, whether he's a taxi driver or whether he's a musician. It is not only those guys who are suited and booted as people think that we are, suited and booted tourism community. No, we care for our people. We are responsible people. We have injected everyone, and at the moment, what our main thing is for the poor people, people who are earning that daily bread. We don't want them to go out of hunger. We as, part of a society, one part of the society have a lot of money in their bank accounts. Maybe it will suffice them for, a couple of years. But no, that is not it is. As human beings, we are responsible to make sure that the poor man, the medium man, the Aam Aadmi gets his daily bread. And we know that the daily bread comes from tourism, So, and we know what to do. I mean, we know how to act. We have hotels running. There are no COVID cases, anywhere. In fact, most of the COVID cases come from where people are not wearing masks and things like that, But we know we have all COVID protocols. We have something called COVID marshals in our hotel. We have tests, we follow hygiene. Tourism has to open with protocols. That's the main thing. And it is shown, it is proven that if you open with protocols, now any tourist who's coming has a test report. He's clean and clear. He doesn't have the COVID. Plus, you are injected, they are injected. So there's no question of infection. But yes, we need to give the confidence to the people. We don't want anyone to die. Who wants to die? Are we murderers? No, we are not. But we want to make sure that the poor man, the Aam Aadmi, get their daily bread. We want to make money for the state.
So Vincent, what do you recommend? A positivity rate below 5% so that things start opening up? Or as Chief Minister says, still entire population is vaccinated at least with a single dose. What's your recommendation?
My recommendation is what I see as hotel life. All the hoteliers are vaccinated. Okay, for example, every hotel
you are saying the most important part is the hospitality sector getting vaccinated.
Vaccinated, yes, and everybody is vaccinated. The guests are vaccinated. There's no question of transmission of disease. Vaccination will happen. The government is doing a great job. We also know what the thing is. You cannot say that the last person somewhere on the hinterland has to get vaccinated because he might not come in touch with the tourist, or we might not go in touch with the district. So that body if you think that, it is because of tourism or whatever it is, if we too are vaccinated, where's the question of infection?
Okay. Very valid point, Vincent Bab. Serafin Bab, how do you look at it? Because again, most of the hotels in Goa are small and medium. How is your association looking at this? What would you recommend to the government? A 5% below positivity rate? Or you are okay with this, let entire population get at least single dose?
See, according to me, is not just 5%. I want maximum people to vaccinate, if possible, the whole Goa, entire Goa. That is my wish list, I can say. Because at the end, who will run this tourism? Not just we. We may say we will take great care, as Vincent Bab has said. We will take great care, but there are people who work for us. They go to supermarket. The people work in casino, they come home. There are outside Goans people are working in Goa on casino. They are using some boarding, and elsewhere they take food from somebody who is supplying food to them. So it is definitely once small little mistake happens, it will be go haywire. So we have to take a great care. We can't afford to just look as a business. This is business versus death. So what we have to choose to be alive, and in order, if we are alive, we'll make money. If we are alive, we'll have a better tourism. I know the days are very bad. The days are very bad for me, for my fellow hoteliers, and for everyone. That is true. But having said that, I am in a great opinion of that everybody need to be vaccinated, and vaccinated. Otherwise, what will happen? There is also fear. There are a lot of second homes in Goa, and they will come to Goa, and we will end up giving vaccination to them. So finally, it will be like vaccination tourism in spite of. So it is like we will start paying. Ambulance will be used for them. I'm not against a tourist using an ambulance, but I am trying to say the ratio, if it is go more than what we could handle, I'm not talking about one case. If it is go out of our hand, if the five-star hotel takes, let us say, one wedding, and in that wedding one mistake happened, 300 people sick in Goa on emergency, that 300 extra burden on Goan to rush with them. So all these things will happen. So my greatest worry is we can't afford to do the same mistake which we have recently done. We opened the floodgate. We were not asking a negative certificate. We were asking everybody and anyone to come to Goa. We have not even checked how much GST we got through that system. Of course, five-star hotels has given at very low rate and made everybody to work, and the staff salary, I don't know whether they recovered that, but lot of people has come into the individual homes as second homes, and we call that as a tourism. So till date, there is a ratio, according to me, according to my study, according to our association study, every time you open Goa for tourism, more than 50% people as a tourist goes elsewhere, stay elsewhere, and that is a burden for us. So
Okay.
I think we should
I think Nilesh Bab, one very crucial point that Serafin Bab is raising is that once bitten, twice shy. So when you, in hindsight today, we completely remained open in December, January, February. In hindsight today, what were our biggest mistakes that you expect the administration not to repeat again, and you also expect the industry not to repeat again?
Pramod Bab, one thing, as you just said, the tourism at the peak was in month of November, December, January, and that time everybody was operating, and basically there were no waves. And even when tourists, when they are coming into Goa, see, nobody is coming to die, as Vincent Bab said. Everybody is coming to holiday. They are taking their precautions. And now we have a point wherein without test, we are not allowing people inside. We have people who are vaccinated. So I think we are quite safe. Now, if you ask for, as Vincent just said, it was not only Goa which was affected. It was throughout India was affected, and we are in unknown territory. Now we know more things about this virus. And one thing we are failing to understand, that economy has to go, and we have to learn to stay with COVID and do our business with COVID. I will give you an example. I have my friends, of course, this is not to scare you anyone, but they have taken both the vaccine and they were infected. And not one or two, but two of them. Second one I just came to know today. Now, one thing is that they had got very mild symptoms. So basic thing what we are looking at is, with the vaccination, which is a must. Second is COVID appropriate behavior has to be throughout. We cannot let it go. But for another half of India, 70 or 80% of India is vaccinated.
Nilesh, the
Because that is
problem
only
probably
way
is
forward.
the problem probably is, and I'll ask Vincent Bab also to speak about it, that all kinds of COVID appropriate behavior and COVID norms in your facilities, but when the same tourists go on the streets, they roam in the restaurants, nobody follows COVID appropriate behavior, which we have seen in the months of December and January and February. So that's the worry. So once you open things up, You might be maintaining the best of standards in your own facilities, but eventually those tourists are not exclusively remain in your facility. They will go out, they will mix with the people. And don't you think that's the biggest concern right now, maybe in the mind of a chief minister and from the local population point of view?
Yeah, Pramod Bab,
Yeah.
can I come here?
Yeah.
So it's become a myth that a tourist is bringing the disease. From I don't know where it came. Tell me how many tourists were in the hospitals in the third wave, right? Why are we blaming this? Why? I don't know from where this whole thing came that the tourist is bringing the thing. In fact, the tourist is having a test today, certificate. I don't know whether my neighbor has got COVID, but I know that the tourist has got no COVID. He's got a certificate. For last 48 hours, he's been tested. That is the question. So, first of all, we have to remove it out from our heads. A tourist is bringing this thing. It's the easiest is to blame tourism for whatever reason. But that's not the fact. The fact is that whether the state had tourism or did not have tourism, everybody went to the second wave. And I think, everybody did their best, to do this. And it's not only, you can't blame a government or so. It is international also, everywhere. Everybody went through this. So one is that you have to make sure that you take off this from the mind. The tourist. Why tourists are only saying, aren't we many of us to be blamed? A lot of people say these tourists with the same people are not wearing masks. You're only preaching, but you have to practice what you're this thing. And that's why I'm saying that we as hoteliers or this thing, we are responsible. We are the first ones to get, whatever it costs us to get everybody vaccinated. Why we have done this? For the state and the love, for Goa, because we want Goa. Where will the money come from to run the state? It's a bigger picture. It's not about me. We can relax and, sit at home and watch Netflix. That's a different story. But who is thinking about the common man? Who's thinking about the livelihoods? Look at the students today. If today they don't want to join hotels, because they're going to depression already. They're saying that because everybody is blaming the tourists, then what is the future of our next generation?
Absolutely.
See, you see that every child today wants to become a chef for everyone, whether, once upon a time, a doctor's son would become doctor. Today, a doctor's son also chef. That was the beauty of Goa. But we are killing it.
Okay. Serafin Bab, how do you respond to that?
See, whether you take a great care and you have a great concern for Goans and Goans' livelihood, Mr. Vincent, I am very happy for that. And I also believe you are coming from Taj culture, which is, and as a general manager, definitely your broad thinking is welcome, and you don't want to intentionally hurt or harm anyone. But having said that, you said it that tourists were coming with negative certificates. So where is the question of tourists giving virus to us? No, it's not true. Our gates were open. Everybody knows, media knows. We were never ever asking negative certificate in Goa. Now, whether you personally ask, that is not good enough for me. That is not good enough our fellow Goans. At whose cost we are going to run tourism? You are going to run tourism at the cost of a fellow Goan who got nothing to do with us. We have to make sure our tourism is beneficial for them and they are beneficial to us. Now, if we keep repeating saying that for the interest of Goa,
no, Serafin Bab, let me ask you a simple question. Now government says that RT-PCR negative certificate, not only RT-PCR, any standard COVID test negative certificate is okay. So now what do you think? Now that government is saying that you need to come in with a certificate, do you think it is good enough?
That's good enough, number one. Then second thing we need to do is everybody should be vaccinated and the rules and regulations should be very tough. And then as Mr. Vincent said, the tourism can go on and which we welcome, whether we are open or closed, whether we have business or not. If somebody does it, most welcome, because just because I am, in my opinion, disagree to certain things, it need to be closed. No, everybody has their own say. It can be open. So bare minimum, negative certificate, everybody to be vaccinated.
Yeah, Nilesh, one important point that everybody noticed now, and in hindsight again, that the peak of our first wave were 919 cases a day. And we did not come in, the administration did not come in with restriction on movement till we crossed 4,000 cases a day. And most of the times the reason that was given is the economy. Do you think that that was a huge mistake on the part of the government, that in spite of our peak of the first wave getting crossed, not coming in with any restriction on movement, not asking for any negative RT-PCR or any certificate, do you think that was a mistake?
Frankly, if you see, whenever peak started, the government also, it is actually unknown territory. As last time also, it's unknown thing what was happening around. So this time I'm sure, because the government also, everybody was a learning process, as industry was a learning process.
Yes, but we
Government
knew
was
what
in
was
learning
our
process.
peak of the first wave.
All said and done, agree. But nobody knew that it will go to that point, because that mutant virus was so bad, which nobody knew it. And irrespective of that, everybody has got affected, even after closing down the tourism, for that matter, or restricting the people. The wave had already was there, and it was throughout India. So let's be this thing. So we have learned from our past, and now we are sure we are following the norms, and we are requested government from our side as an industry that COVID appropriate behavior has to be done. People with ICMR test you allow, people with the vaccination you allow. You make a facility at the entry points for the testing. So people who don't come with the test, they made mandatory testing, and they are allowed into Goa. And above all, the signages of do's and don'ts, the COVID appropriate behavior to put it throughout Goa. And these are the basic suggestions which are given for sustainable tourism. One thing we have to, I am repeatedly coming to that point, that we have to sustain tourism. As Vincent Bob said, see, in the hotel industry in Goa, there are many boys working with the salary of 12,000, 15,000, 20,000, 25,000 rupees. Now, the hotel which are working, they are getting some salary part of it. Many of them which are on the not permanent jobs, they have been laid off. Now they're sitting at home. Now, if you have to get back them to on the workforce, then the industry has to start, because that is only industry right now, major industry in Goa, which is providing bread and butter, as Vincent Bob just said. So basically, I understand we have to take all the precautions and everything, but we'll have to learn, do our business with COVID
You are saying
around.
we will have to be
all the
psychologically
COVID behavior.
prepared to open things up.
Can you repeat?
No, so you are saying that we will have to be psychologically prepared to open things up.
Absolutely, absolutely. There is no two way about it.
Vincent Bob, before we conclude, what are your top 3 suggestions to the government at this point of time, so that whatever mistakes we did during the first wave, post first wave, are not repeated again, and safeguard as well as safety of the economy is maintained?
Yeah, so of course, I stand to this and I stick to this because I'm very confident of what I'm saying. One is that you have to have all COVID protocols, which we are probably, and not to blame anyone, but all of us have to follow it. Secondly, we have to get everybody vaccinated, right? But it is our responsibility, which we have done already, and we are very, very confident. And it's not that the vaccination is stopping tomorrow. It will go on, but the sooner the better. Each one of us from our families, like even you must give money to your servant and say, go and get vaccinated, because it is not about you or them. It's about humanity, And thirdly, who do you ask this question? If you ask a rich man, wo bolega, "Arey boss, okay, you will get a different answer. But if you really ask a common man, a man who's feeling hardship, he knows that thing. If you ask, the question is to be targeted to which person, that is important. You will get different answers. So our answer is that because we are, in building livelihoods of people, as hoteliers, it's not that we want to sit at home, but we care for the people down the line. I have got, about 2,500 families who are working with me directly. Then indirect, all the musicians, they आता phone करपाक लागले. म्हणलं बाबा आमका कितें कांयच ना मरे, let's play some at least some music. because it is also, as you rightly said, psychological. Depression, okay, the worst enemy. Okay, you see the depression already coming. It's not good for us. As a human being, we are social animals. So there is a larger picture. And it's also important that, if you ask different people questions, you get different answers always.
Yeah.
But the answer is this, that we are all have to work together, work for each other, care for each other, practice, what humanity is all about, and help each other to come out of this and come out of it as fast as possible.
Yeah, very important points, Vincent. Finally, Serafin Bab, top two suggestions to the government that we need to implement very seriously before we open up.
Yeah. See, everybody need to be vaccinated. Number one, that's include entire hotel industry, staff to the management, and the casino, entire casino management staff, everybody to be vaccinated, because they go elsewhere and spread it. And the tourists who are coming to Goa has to have a negative certificate, plus, if possible, even the vaccination certificate, if possible. And there, by taking a great care, we can open it up.
Yeah,
no
I
problem.
think very important point. Let's get maximum people vaccinated on priority. The hospitality sector and many of the hospitality sector people who are running things are already getting their staff vaccinated. I think that is one of the most important things. And secondly, ask for a RT-PCR negative certificate or a vaccination certificate. Positivity rate below 5%, and get the local population also vaccinated as soon as possible. I think there is no debate on that. But most importantly, we cannot remain closed forever, and we need to be prepared to open things up slowly, cautiously, and yet by maintaining all safety standards and COVID appropriate behavior. Vincent Ramos, Nilesh Shah, Serafin Bab, thanks a lot for joining. Keep watching. Go ahead.